Marfoogle News live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We're going to go over some of the most important stuff of the day. And again, there is a lot today and tonight to go over on our next show. They said that dancing dictator Maduro, we actually showed you that video last night, vows Venezuela is ready to fight and snubs Trump's ultimatum. So essentially, he is saying that, nope, we'll keep going and doing what we're doing. We're preparing, and if you want to try, you have the next move. The ball is in your court. If you want to try to invade or do something, we're ready to fight you. There's a lot of social media right now, as far as videos on social media right now, showing people in Venezuela saying that we are, in solidarity, that we're going to stand up with the president. We're going to fight America if they try to invade. There is just a lot of talk about invasion, and for good reason. Of course, now we have 15,000 troops. We have over 11 warships and possibly who knows how many submarines over there. We have aviation units, the whole 9 yards. So it looks like we are going into a war with Venezuela. Well, it might not be just Venezuela. There are new comments. We'll talk briefly about that as well. There's talk about Colombia as well. There's even a quote that is pretty crazy talking about basically anybody, all of these people in the countries they came through to bring a certain thing into our country, that it hints towards complicity, right? And you would think if this is just purely about the drugs and stuff, that's one thing. But I just wonder if this is exactly what I've been talking about the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, that this was any country that helped and proceeded to help this huge caravan of people come in, that obviously it wasn't just people looking for a better life, but some of these folks were adversarial troops, just not in uniform. As our president said, that there are bad guys that are not in uniform. That's not saying that these are cartels guys. These are soldiers from other countries that have snuck into our country along these caravans. Now, when all these caravans were coming in and there were tens and tens of thousands, millions that came in, we talked about the fact that, back then we were like, well, what if there's bad people mixed in with this? There could be troops coming in. And if they were to come into our country, why wouldn't they pick right now? It was very, very strange. So many people just wondered, like, why all of a sudden they're telling people to come. They're like, we won't turn you away. And then all of a sudden at the very end, after they have so many people in, they go, no, if you come, you'll be turned away from us. It's almost like somebody got a paycheck of $2 million to a Swiss bank account, and they were like, yeah, sure, I'll just throw away all my principles and I'll tell people to come in. Oh, wait, you need 40,000 troops in the country? Okay, I've got a way to do that. That's what I think it happened here in this instance with what was going on. And some might call that a theory. But again, what is going on right now, all of a sudden we're throwing Colombia into the mix. Of course, the Colombian president has basically accused the president of, doing horrible things in the EpiPen files. And now this is spread. There, of course, are the allies of, Venezuela's Maduro that are essentially all of our adversaries are on that list. So Russia, of course, Iran, you've got North Korea, you've got China. They are all very close with Venezuela, including many others that we don't have time to list. So this is very, very odd. He is being very, very confident right now. And it sounds like that maybe he got a call that says he will be backed up by some of these allies. I don't know. But it is quite crazy what is going on right now. And the ultimatum, he's snubbing it straight up. Now, before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, there is the Black Friday sale for EMP Shield. Now, this is what we recommend as far as protecting yourself against an EMP and a CME from the sun. Again, this is at marfooglenews.com/EMP that you can get this. You cannot get these in the stores. This is the same tech and the same company that is outfitting agencies like DHS, DOW, of course, the FBI, Air Force, and many more. So go check it out. Go look at the military testings they've done. Go make sure to go check, of course, the list of companies that they're working with right now, and the countries and, of course, states. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Code MARF will get you $50 off per device, and that stacks on top of their 25% off Black Friday sale. So again, our discount is actually grandfathered in, so make sure to use our code because you will get the normal discount without it, but you will also get $50 off per device with it. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam. Hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so the next piece here, which we're going to talk about, Donald threatening an attack on Colombia amid Venezuela war fears.
Yeah, so U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened military strikes on Colombia amid the rising tensions over the drug trafficking. Speaking at the White House, he said, if they come through a certain country, any country, and he kind of paused. He said, I hear Colombia is making cocaine. He said, anybody doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack. So calling out Colombia specifically, the president's comments come amid rising tensions with Venezuela. Obviously, as we've been discussing at length here, the Trump administration has doubled the reward for information leading to Venezuela and President Nicolas Maduro's capture. So that bounty is getting bigger and bigger. According to reports, Mr. Trump urged Maduro to leave Venezuela and relinquish his power during a phone call, but Maduro refused. And of course, as we reported last night, the president had a security meeting. Still, nothing has come out of that meeting, with the exception of one comment from this press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, saying there are many options at the president's disposal that are on the table. I'll let him speak on those. So we don't know what came from that meeting, but ultimately, I think what will probably happen is if he's about to do a strike, this is my prediction, he's going to come out, have a prime time or afternoon or evening time announcement from the Oval Office, and he'll probably announce that they're striking the cartels to take out the cartels and their leadership. He won't necessarily name Maduro, but he'll probably just name the cartel. And then because Maduro is wrapped up in that, then after the aftermath, they'll probably announce that either they got him or he got away or something like that.
Okay.
That would be my prediction.
So I really want to point out, this is so odd, and the choice of words and the way he spoke about this. So look at the first words in this. And most of you know, because I have talked at length, kicking a dead horse at this point, about the fact that I believe that all of the countries that were involved in the caravans that openly let not just people that were coming through that were traveling, but very possibly any one of these places, if they were military troops from another country, they could have caught this with background checks as they're swooping through the country. They're going through borders of all these countries, and then they're coming in. For some reason, we decided to do the background check. Even if we caught somebody at the border, we said, okay, we're going to release you, and then you have a court date. And at that court date is when they would do the background check. Like, it just seems like somebody, it's like in those CIA or in those CIA movies or the NSA movies where, they have somebody driving through town and they're like, we'll clear the streets for you, and they turn all the lights green. That's what it feels like. That's what it felt like for 4 years. So it says, speaking at the White House, he said, listen to the exact words before he just totally changes the sentence completely. It says, if they come in through a certain country, any country, ... And then he changed it. I hear Colombia is making cocaine. Anybody doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack. It's like he completely changed midway through. Look at that. If they come in through a certain country, any country, and I've been pointing this out, that all of the countries that the people came through in these caravans are now involved in all of this mess. Colombia, up until a few weeks ago, nobody was even talking about it. All of a sudden, that's being thrown in there too. And even the videos, I don't know if you've noticed this. I just saw several social media videos of people talking and saying, well, yeah, and if they invade us, it was a Venezuelan woman, one of the ones I last watched. She goes, if they invade us or if they invade Colombia, we'll both go after them. They're all mentioning Colombia too. So obviously down there, the word is that, they're not just invading Venezuela, they're invading Colombia, right? If that even happens, right? But the Panama Canal, that whole fiasco, that started after he got into office. The Panama Canal, we said we were going to take it by force. And then they said that they, I think, believe they did take it by force, or at least they hinted towards that they had U.S. military. And Trump said, us and our allies will make sure the Panama Canal is secure. China was the one that was trying to get that whole thing, to get Panama locked down. Honduras is having all sorts of political strife. All of these places, Nicaragua. Look at what's happening in all of the countries of the path, and I mean the direct path that goes from the Darien Gap all the way in Colombia, all the way up into our country. All of them are having crazy stuff happen. And then, of course, in Mexico, leaders are getting taken out left and right. And they're saying that it's the cartels. But again, I'm sure it probably is the cartels because they're the enforcers. But who are they enforcing for? Many people believed, cartels worked with the CIA and stuff, but in many cases, they didn't work for, they worked with, right? Right now, I think that they're working for a country, and that country is to the east of us. So it seems like too many things are fitting right into place, and these aren't crazy things to connect. Everything that the president is doing looks like they can't tell us the secret, which would most definitely not be provable. He would put it out there and everybody would just tear him apart for it. Or they've been very careful to cover their tracks because this was a legitimate sort of attack. Maybe they're even doing a lot of this based on, little bits of intelligence. I mean, look at it, they chant death to America in Dearborn, Michigan. The next day they have ICE go there like, just like crazy. The raids, one of them that was just happened in Chinatown in New York, that was at a place where they were selling the tchotchkes and like the fake stuff. And everybody's like, oh, wow, you're really saving the world by going into this place that a couple guys are selling fake Rolexes. Well, in that raid, they said that there were the ICE people, and then there were people that were unmarked in fatigues, and they said that they looked like a special military unit. To me, that tells me that something bigger is going on here, that they're using ICE as a cover as well to go in and to try to grab these people. And by now, if that is the case, if that is the truth, then the enemy already knows that this is happening. That would also kick up any kind of attack. If they planned in 6 months that they were going to do something, then that whatever they were planning on doing would have to move up or be canceled or retreated. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot here. And then the suspect in the DC National Guard, popped the two National Guards. One is still in need of course, prayers, and then the other perished. Apparently shouted Allahu Akbar while firing these weapons. So, Dex, do you want to talk about that? And again, this guy was the gentleman who shot the National Guardsman. Dex,
Yes.
We got you?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just setting the show. Look, the suspect said exactly what you just said. And so the gunman was stationed, who's accused of taking out those troops that were stationed on the streets, was shouting that while he was firing his weapon. He appeared to be in the middle of reloading, and that's when he was taken into custody. He was in a gun battle with someone else just before that, and went to reload, and that's when they jumped on him. This is all coming from the court records that have now been filed.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, when this gets coverage, they put out to the world that he essentially was, screaming this. This is going to be a big deal for people. This is going to be covered, syndicated across all the medias, and they're going to say, obviously, this is the birth of, what we already went through back after, 9/11 and with 9/11. And this strangely lines up with what Sarah Adams was, of course, predicting, saying that certain things were going to happen, these lone actors or even coordinated attacks of up to 1,000 people in the U.S. and up to 1,000 agents that are in Europe, and that this big event would happen. Now, I hope that this doesn't happen, but, who is in charge of this? Who's paying for it? Is it just a group? Is it the Laden family? Is it them that is doing it, the kin to them? I think there's a lot of bullhookery going on here, and I don't know what the heck is really going on, but I would say be vigilant and be prepared because something fishy is happening here. there are so many skeptics that say, oh, well, nothing bad is ever going to happen. And I'm totally okay with the optimists out there. But the people that are just so dead set on being so skeptical that anything that like this could happen, I think that that is partial ignorance, because we are no longer protected from our geographic, enemies across the oceans. We're no longer protected from that when we have 20 million people come in a short amount of time and nobody knows who the heck they are. That means you don't have to wait for boats to get there or paratroopers to drop in like Red Dawn. You just have to turn around on the bus and they're right there. So this is very, 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 very freaky. And it sounds like we're expecting a big war, and I think that they're going to the root of where this was. I think they're basically telling them, like, we know. All right, and then thank you, Lola Cafe. Again, one of my favorite Fugel family members. Your name always pleasantly reminds me of an awesome cafe here in Seattle. So thank you so much for your support, and thank you guys. Join us over on the next show. We're going to go into this and much, much more. We're going to go back into again. We'll remind you of the Sarah Adams stuff as well. They say just a couple weeks until the operational phase is in place. I'm not saying I absolutely believe it, but I would not be surprised if this did happen. And again, we'll be talking about it on the next show. Stick with us. If you're in the chat, you'll be ported over automatically. If you are watching the replay, click the description down below or click the video up above. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.